my name is Vicki Haspels. I'm the Conscious Mystic, and welcome to the weekly forecast. Each week I choose a card for each day of the week using my deck, the Mythic Tarot. I make an interpretation of a card for guidance for us for the week ahead. So let's begin. This is for week commencing July 24th, 2023. Okay, so let's have a look for Monday, July the 24th, 2023. Shuffling the deck, let's choose a card and see what comes up. Oh, here we have Two of Swords. So expect on Monday to be a little bit isolated, a little bit sort of cut off from everything, because we are working out what it is that we need to do. There are a lot of influences around us that are trying to sort of get into our space. And I say influences, I want to say it again, there's a lot of influence around us that is perhaps distracting us, and perhaps intentionally or not intentionally, but we are being distracted by those external forces. So we are very much going to be inside of ourselves, and it's going to be a deliberate effort to sort of cut off those external voices, because they're a little bit too intrusive. So if you feel a bit rude, or a little bit that you're feeling a bit kind of mean, just remember it is necessary in order to connect to what it is that we actually think and what it is we need for ourselves. We have to have our own thoughts on Monday. So that one's back in the deck. This is for Tuesday, July 25th, 2023. Shuffling the deck, let's choose a card. Let's see what comes up. Here we have the Queen of Wands. Queen of Wands has turned up for Tuesday, so we can feel motivated, we feel inspired. We needed to have that cut-off time because there was too many other things swirling around, preventing us from accessing our motivation. I feel like the feeling inside here from this card is there's been a gradual increase in energy, an increase in motivation, and Tuesday is the time to actually put those things, or start the process of putting those things into action. The Queen of Wands takes no prisoners. She is very forthright and very forceful. She's not bossy, however, she won't let anyone or anything interfere in her process or how she wants to move forward. She's very determined, and she's very purposeful in because she knows exactly what she needs. And because it's a queen, it is all about us. It is not about the greater good or the greater world. It really is about what motivates us and what keeps us interested. And I really feel very strongly about the Queen of Wands that we are finally getting there. We are finally getting it, and we now have the energy and motivation to actually make a start and take that first step. Back in the deck. So now we have for Wednesday, July 26th, 2023, choosing a card. You can see I shuffled. Let's see what comes up. Ooh. Nine of Swords. So we're back on the swords again, back into the mind. This looks like a 2 steps forward, 1 step back, or 3 steps forward, 2 steps back scenario here. So we've overcome the intrusions. We have made a decision about how we want to go, but we've sort of let the anxiety or the self-sabotage is starting to creep in again. Wednesday is a day for overcoming that self-sabotage. It's about recognizing it. If that self-sabotage or those negative thoughts or those defeating thoughts do not pop up, to acknowledge them, and you don't have to put them down or get rid of them. You don't have to squish them or anything. You have to fix them. Acknowledge them. They are there for you to bring them up into the cold light of day, to say, is this really how things are for me? So looking at them realistically, looking at them honestly. If they do not come up and scare the hell out of us, then they're going to come and scare us at a less opportune time. It's time to deal with those scary thoughts. It's time to deal with that negativity that constantly hounds us, that constantly follows us around. Bring it up into the cold light of day, acknowledge it, say, oh yeah, this is how I am, and we can then get on with our day, get on with our life. It's a bit frustrating, but I feel like a little bit scary, so we must scare ourselves a little bit. And I really feel that this is because we are taking charge, we are owning our power, and that shows up with that Queen of Wands that turned up from yesterday. Owning our power. If there are a few little wobbly bits inside, we must acknowledge them so that they down the track don't undermine our efforts. So that's back on the deck. Now, let's have a look for Thursday, July 27th, 2023. The Lovers. Woohoo! So after dealing with those thoughts, those sort of negative or uh, intrusive thoughts, the little lies or self-sabotage we want to tell ourselves, we now have the opportunity to make a choice. Those thoughts are the things that, the negative thoughts from yesterday are the things that block us from seeing our opportunities. The Lovers card is here now to make our way. I always think the Lovers turns up as in, because there's 3 choices, I'm even getting a picture now that there are 3 ways that we can go. And no way, all of those paths lead to the end goal or the end result. So just remember, there are no wrong paths to take, there are no wrong steps to take. And the first step and the first attempt is never a mistake, it's an experience. So we're being asked to choose the path. What is going to suit us best? That's why those negative thoughts were there yesterday, to get them out of the way. And because they were there, they were stopping us from seeing the path that's best for us. Is it a logical path? Is it a passionate path? Or is it a path where we just want to throw everything to the winds and just give it a go for whatever reason? Choose your adventure, I guess, is the card for that, for the Lovers. Anyway, that one's back in the deck. Okay, so this is for July 28th, 2023, Friday, July 28th, 2023. Here's the card. Let's choose. Oh, we have another Queen, Queen of Pentacles. Queen of Pentacles has turned up, and again, for me, the Queen always means it's a self, looking after the self before we look after the rest of the world. The Queen of Pentacles represents the practical side of us, the part of us that pulls everything that we need in order to move forward. So we had the Queen that provided the inspiration and motivation, and now the Queen of Pentacles. Now it's like, okay, let's get this done. I need this, 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 and this. Let's organise this and get it all together. We've chosen our path. The Lovers have said, okay, I want to go down this way. The Queen has stepped in and said, right, let's do this. Let's get this done. We need this, this, and this. She's great at organising it. She's very no-nonsense, and she's very grounded. So we are not going to fly off with something that doesn't suit the path that we have chosen. She is going to choose things that help us follow that path that we have chosen. She is not going to pick something or show us something that will not work for us. And again, it doesn't matter whether we have a few hiccups along the way. The Lovers card suggests, and I always maintain, that we are always going to end up at the right place. How we get there is part of that adventure, that choose your own adventure. The Queen of Pentacles is here to help us gather the things that we need and to stick with it. She's very much, just get that sort of, no, you got to do this, it's doing this, come on, you can do this. And so very much a motivator to keep us going, but in a practical way, saying, it's possible, it's possible, it's possible. Let me help. So let the Queen help along the way. Anyway, she's back in the deck. So this is for Saturday, July the 29th, 2023. I've shuffled the cards. Let's choose one. Page of Cups. I love the Page of Cups. Is such a sensitive card. To me, it is the psychic card. It's the card of that psychic sensitivity, that we know that something is happening. We're feeling it on a psychic level or a soul level, and sometimes it can create a little bit of panic, simply because we feel like everything's going to be fine, everything's going to be okay, or there is a sense of an otherworldly thing or something else happening outside of us, when really what's happening is that we are very much in touch with our psychic selves. Expect on Saturday to feel a little bit or super sensitive. It is, I guess, after the Queen has turned up, and she's, as I said, very practical, very upfront, very straightforward. We are on display. The Queen puts us on display. So the Page of Cups is there to say, how sensitive are you about being seen? How are you going to traverse and own the path that you're choosing, the choices that you have made, or the way that you'd like to move forward, or the way that you'd like to see yourself? How sensitive are you to it? How do you want to go back and hide? And the page will want us to go back and hide. However, when we work with the page is our psychic self, and that's why we feel so sensitive, because we feel that our whole heart and our whole soul is on display, when really we are actually so tuned into our whole heart and whole soul that we're displaying it to ourselves. All the rest of the world feels is our confidence and our beautiful selves. They'll have that feeling. They won't see what anything that we don't want to show them, but they will feel our psychic strength. And it's a very vulnerable time, because we may be open to a psychic, when I say psychic attack, like any sort of criticisms, any sort of overbearing or bullying, any jealousy, all those sorts of things we will be very much vulnerable to. But the page is there to help us build our resilience and our strength to that, and to recognize again where we have a little bit of vulnerability, so that we can accept that part of who we are, not to fix it, not to change it, but to accept that this is not only our vulnerability but also a strength. Self-acceptance. If you want to be the best and strongest person, it's all about self-acceptance. Anyway, that's back on the deck. Now we're looking at for Sunday, July the 30th, 2023. I've shuffled the cards, and here's our card. Now we have the Knight of Cups. Knight comes directly after the page. So the Knight of Cups, I feel like the Knight of Cups has come in. I feel that the strength of the queens that have turned up, and the choosing of the path, a little bit of vulnerability. The Knight to end the week is a little bit of, it's a fantasy card. It's very good for moving forward and recognizing what it is that makes what makes us happy, and what the dreams that we like to follow. But the feeling I get from this card is that we sort of withdraw or hide into a fantasy. So we get so far, and then we more or less nearly talk ourselves out of it, or talk us into this space that isn't quite realistic. So just be prepared for Sunday, and there'll be a continuation, because the following week and the following week will help us move through that process. But finishing that week on the Sunday, the Knight of Cups is a bit of a withdrawal, as in we will try to make something bigger than Ben-Hur that is not feasible and not practical, and it is a direct result of the Page of Cups being there, feeling that a little bit of vulnerability. And we think by bringing the Knight in that we can supersize ourselves and make ourselves sort of really strong and invulnerable, and we don't. What we do is we actually take the practicality of the Queen of Pentacles and the motivation of the Queen of Wands, and sort of tuck it away a little bit and turn it into a story that we can then we can distance ourselves from, but pretend that it is our story. Those other cards that have turned up during the week will not go away, but it's necessary to just build this little bit of a story or a fantasy, because it looks like we're not going to feel totally safe. So there is still a bit of processing to go through in order to feel really connected to our psychic selves. Okay, so let's stay tuned for the roundup. Okay, so this is the weekly roundup for week commencing July 24th, 2023. If you had a look at the cards for each day of the week, you will see that there is a bit of an up and down pattern this week. We start off the week by shutting out those distractions that are going to prevent us from accessing our ideas and our plans. There are some influences around us that may want to say, hey, look at me, you need to be doing everything for me right now. But what your soul is saying, and what your heart is saying, is that you are needing to be for the self. That there are two queens that turn up, one to motivate us and remind us how great our path is, and our purposes, and what our passions are, and the Queen of Pentacles to help us make that happen. She's very practical, and she knows how to gather all those things together. There is a fair bit of anxiety that comes with that, though. So in order to find out what's going to actually maybe get in the way, we're working what that is. We're working that out early. The Nine of Swords about the anxiety and the self-sabotage. We have the Page of Cups that makes us super sensitive to everybody's criticism, or even their opinions, or what we think their opinions are. But it's really getting closer to our own psychic awareness and our connection to our actual true, what makes us happy and our true purpose. And then we also have the Knight of Cups, which sends us off into a bit of a fantasy world, or a bit of a story, because we try and distance ourselves from our heart's desire and what really makes us happy, and what makes us want to keep going. But do not be concerned, because the Lover's card is in there. That means that we have already chosen the path that we'd like to go down. It's those little wobbly cards that have turned up to help us consolidate those decisions, to help us strengthen those decisions, and they're only throwing up the little fears that would eventually get in the way down the track. We only need to recognize them and accept them. We don't need to squish them down, fix them, or anything like that. It's about self-acceptance, and it's about recognizing that these are things that can make us vulnerable, but they do not need to rule our world. That they are there, they're part of who we are, but they do not need to dictate our pathways or our choices. Anyway, that's the roundup and the weekly forecast for week commencing July 24th, 2023. My name's Vicki Haspels. I'm the Conscious Mystic. See you next week. Much love from me. Mwah. Bye. See you guys next week with love from me. Mwah.